Right. Good meeting. Good group of folks. Mm-hmm. Tell us when, Dwayne. Okay. Okay. Welcome to the board meeting for December the 4th. Appreciate each one being here. If you would, just take a few minutes or a few seconds and silence your phone on silent, if you would, and we appreciate it. And as always, we'll start off with prayer by Mr. Phil Buffington and the pledge by Mr. Ronnie Lott. So if we all stand, please. Mr. Buffington.
If you would, please bow your heads. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity and blessing to live in a county like Madison County. Please give our elected officials the strength and courage to continue to lead Madison County in the right direction. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Ronnie Lott.
Flag, please. Attention. Salute. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Lott.
Yes,
you're
Mr.
up.
President, you should have before you the November the 20th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes, the board please approve said minutes.
Move.
Got a motion, Mr. Banks. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Jones. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you, Mr.
Aye.
President.
All opposed. Next, we have the privilege under concerned citizens, but have the privilege of, in front of us, the new elected Central District Public Service Commissioner, Mr. D. Keither Stamps. We'd like to invite him up to a few minutes and appreciate you being here, first of all, and congratulations. And if you would, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you plan on doing from Madison County.
Most definitely. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the space and a few minutes just to share with you. For those who don't know me, my name is DeKeither Stamps. I'm from the biggest, fastest growing town in Mississippi, Learned, Mississippi. Population 60.
Yeah.
There's probably more folks in this room than in my hometown. But I joined the military after high school, and when I retired, I came back to Mississippi, and it really wasn't where I thought it should be. So I decided to get involved. I spent 8 years on the city council and 1 term in the legislature. And now we're poised to be the next Central District Public Service Commissioner. The easiest thing we've ever done is win an election. The hardest thing to do is to be effective. So now we are working towards being effective. My view of politics is not the normal view. I make a list of what we agree on, and I make a list of what we disagree on. And I start with the list that we agree on. Because by the time you work through issues that you agree on, when you get to things you disagree on, you probably have a better working relationship, a little more mutual respect for each other, and you're able to push and pull a little better and be effective. And that's the work that we're going to do here in Madison County, focusing on first hardening the system and making it more resilient in all levels, from electrical to natural gas and so forth. And then secondly, focus on economic development, because of our largest economic developers in the state are your utility companies. And we're going to work with them and work with Madison County and the cities in Madison County to spur as much economic development as possible.
All right.
So you're welcome to give me a call anytime. My cell phone is all over the place, and I'll make sure everybody has my contact information before we leave. And look forward to having a good, healthy working relationship between your offices and ours.
Good deal. We look forward to working with you, and because I know Madison County is continuing to grow, and we're going to continue to need the help there for us to be successful in what we have planned.
That's right.
For the next 4, 10, 12 years.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right.
Next on the list, we have Mr. Green. Mr. Green, if you would, come up and state your name, give your address, and a couple of minutes, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Perry Green. I'm getting here with a complaint with, I went to the Canton board, and I'm complaining about the ambulance service. My mom got sick on the 17th of September. And instead of them taking her, she stays right here on Martin Luther King, right down from down the street right next to Friars Lane Grocers right here. And it only takes you 2 or 3 miles to the highway. Instead of them going to the highway, they turned and went back out here in the 43 out to their office with my mom in the back of the ambulance. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I've been calling. I done called them ever since then, and I hadn't received a phone call, letter, or anything from them. I called the other day, in fact, I called last Wednesday, and the lady that took my complaint, she forwarded to somebody and still hadn't heard anything from her. And that was in September when when I called them that Sunday, and my mom passed on that Wednesday. So I'm trying to figure out, is it policy for them to just take your patients anywhere where they want to take them? How is it set up?
Right. Greg, are you or Norman, either one, familiar with this?
I spoke with Mr. Green last week while he was, to get him on the agenda. And then I reached out to Pafford to try to run down some of the information, but I did not have all of the relevant information they needed. Now that I've got the date of the incident of 9/17, and I need the address, and then I'll run down all of the relevant facts and communicate with all of the right people.
If you would, Mr. Green, Greg, if you would, work with Mr.
Absolutely.
Green and let's get that answer for him. And
Certainly.
My name's
okay, the other, I don't know whether there's any other concerned citizens, but we'll come back to them if they are. Next on the list is Jan Collins. Jan and Mr. Phil Buffington, if y'all would come up. Appreciate y'all being here as well and the work that y'all do for Madison County.
Well, thank you. I'm Jan Collins, Executive Director of the Madison County Business League and Foundation, and I have with me today Phil Buffington, who is a former chair of the Business League and currently serves as the chair of the Government Affairs Committee. And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to share the Madison County Business League and Foundation 2024 legislative agenda with the board. After 21 meetings with each of our Madison County mayors, each of you on the Board of Supervisors, and our 13 legislators. And our Government Affairs Committee met, and they drafted the priorities for next year, which were approved by the Madison County Business League and Foundation Board of Directors and the Madison County Economic Development Authority Board of Directors. We want to present those to y'all for approval today, hopefully as the Madison County legislative agendas for 2024.
Okay, Mr.
So
Buffington?
Phil's going to share all the details with you.
Okay, good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to start off by thanking y'all, each one of y'all for meeting with us and also taking time out of your busy schedule to help work with us to develop these priorities. As Jan talked about, she laid out the process. I do want to thank y'all for everything you do for Madison County. We've got a lot going on, and y'all do help bring that forward for us. The priorities that we came up with this year after meeting with everybody and going through the process Jan described were first being continuing to, and remember, excuse me, these are the legislative priorities, continuing to seek funding for Reunion Crossing and the Bozeman Road project. 2 would be the Highland Commerce Park Drive Connector Road project, which is in the south end of the county. The next one would be the Gluckstadt Road widening project, and that's adding a lane to Gluckstadt Road from Bozeman Road to the interstate. And then the last one would be wastewater upgrades. And those are the priorities that we'd like to present to y'all today for your approval if y'all are in agreement.
Phil, what do you
Yes, sir.
tell me about what are you hearing from the Capitol on? Is there any ability still to acquire ARPA money for wastewater?
And I will tell you, I really have been pursuing that over the last several weeks in particular, excuse me, because I'd heard several different things. I've heard all the way from there's no more money left down there to wastewater, or not substantial money, to there possibly could be some pockets of money that would be available for that. So That's one of the reasons we wanted to leave this on the list. I think that's probably a moving target for us. The infrastructure road projects are clearer to us because we know what those are. We know there's funding down there for that, but we don't want to back up from the wastewater because we know how important it is for the county. So we're pursuing what that is, and I promise to keep all of y'all in the loop on what I find out about that moving forward. But really, over the last couple of weeks, I've had several conversations with several different people, and I'm still waiting to get some final answers on what may be available down there.
I'd like to thank you for the Gluckstadt Road project. That area is exploding, and it's a desperately needed project.
It is, and I will say this, and I think it's important to say this in this meeting. Y'all have always pursued projects, and we've always had conversations about if we're going to pursue a project, let's pursue it until we get to the end and not get diverted on it. And quite frankly, the projects right there, Reunion Crossing, Bozeman, and now adding Gluckstadt to it. I know that's a late addition to the game, but it really is a huge project for the county as far as moving traffic east and west to be able to move it north and south. So we really do appreciate y'all's continued efforts on that.
Thank you.
Phil, each one of these projects are very important to Madison County's continued growth. And so I think we all come up with 4 good projects for us to continue to move forward, to work together on. And so we appreciate the Business League, appreciate y'all continue to work with each elected official in Madison County.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to work with you. We appreciate your commitment to the county and look forward to continue to work with you.
And do we need a resolution written up for this as well?
That would be nice if y'all could write a resolution for us. I think we've done this in the past. Mr. Espy's worked with us to get that done. And so if y'all approve these priorities, then getting a resolution, and then we're going to go back to the cities and ask them to get resolutions too, so we can submit the whole package to our legislators before the session begins.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion to approve these 4 projects along with a resolution from our county attorney, Mike Espy then. Got a motion, got a second? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank y'all very
Phil.
much.
Thank you,
Have a great
Jan.
day.
And y'all would just work with Mike on the resolution?
Yes, sir.
In a timely manner?
And I know y'all have a lot of other things before y'all, but if y'all don't mind, if we could be excused, I would appreciate it.
We would love for you to stay for the meeting. It's important items that's coming up. But anyway, we understand. Thank y'all.
I appreciate it.
I want to move back, Greg, to the concerned citizens. Are there any other concerned citizens signed in?
Just a couple.
Okay.
First would be Larry Hart Sr.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Larry? Please come and state your name, give your address, in a couple of minutes, please.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Larry Hart Sr. I stay at 2305 Highway 51, right up the highway, across the street from the Stapleton subdivision. I've been here maybe a few times, and everybody keep telling me, say, hey, you need to get a lawyer and this and that. But this right here seems to me like it should be like a conduct issue. When people come out and you also agreed for some property to be changed out there by me to commercial property, and when these people came out there, you got a homeowner there. Shouldn't there be some type of conduct issues that those people should have to follow when they come out there? Since that time, I've seen property stakes moved over about 4 times over on me. I've seen the personally witness surveyor nail a stake, an iron stake down in my yard. The last time that they came, I was on November the 30th, Black Friday. I noticed somebody out in the front of my house, marked, and when I come back, I seen some more marks going back through because I'm going to work back and forth. But there was some more marks going back through my property, and this time it was moved over inside of the fence line on my property. I bought my property back in 1986 from Ms. Laura Cheney. Same property, same everything. She bought her property in 1970. Same property, same everything. The people that had it before her had the same property, same everything. Right out in front where they are marking stuff at Ms. Laura Cheney's garden. Now, my septic system runs out that way. Also, my gas line run out that way. When this person came here and they did whatever they did to make their property commercial, I'm pretty sure they showed you all the layout of this is what we're gonna do. They had a paper, a contract signed from the Hare family on the property out there. So ever since the Hare family been there, never had a problem. They farmed out there. A young guy named Jim Harrell and Mr. Joe Martin, they farmed out there. They had their driveway down on the end. Never was a problem. When they decided not to farm anymore, they put trees out there. They never moved over on me. And when that guy came there and they signed a contract with him, this is where your property gonna start. This is your property that you're paying for right here. When they did that, then they kept him off of me also. When that person come out there, it seemed like to me it should have been somebody here saying, okay, this is your property right here. You got a property owner out there. You got your stuff laid out. When you go there, you stay right there on your property. You follow your property, everything, whatever described in there. Energy come out there. The gas people come there. The water people come there. They take his property deed and they look at it and they say, okay, this is where your stuff is. This is where we're running our lines. And they stand right in their place. This guy here is trying to do some other personal stuff. I'd be at home around lunchtime, and all of a sudden there come trucks and cars parking by my bedroom window because somebody that moved some property things over there. Can't sleep. And on top of that, the other day when I come back home, I had a fruit tree in my yard. He had dug it up. Had it burning right next to my house, right there. And they were standing over there looking like they either trying to intimidate or harass me or what. Now they got a big burn pile right next to my storage room, maybe about 20, 25 feet from it, that they getting ready to burn. I just believe when people come out here and you all sign stuff and do stuff like that, they ought to have some type of rules and regulations to go by, rather than for me to try to take my hard-earned money to try to have to go get a lawyer, to try to not make somebody do what they supposed to do, like they supposed to do. And I just can't understand it. The only other thing is you see somebody come and do stuff like that on your property is to get you in trouble. We got stuff for that. I'll be locked up. But why can't these people go out and when you all say this is what you all got, it's a contract and everything is ironed out, why isn't that enforced from here, so I wouldn't even have to deal with that, knowing that they coming out there? I don't have that kind of money to be doing this kind of stuff with. When those people come out there, they should come out there and follow whatever they got on that paperwork, and I wouldn't have no problem. The Heralds didn't give them that problem. They didn't give me that problem. So I'm bringing it back to here. I done prayed about it. You know, I know when I leave here, I'm gonna have me a 4x6 coffee. I'm not gonna take it with me.
Mr. Larry,
But right is right.
which property are you referring to now? Refresh our memory.
Um,
Are you familiar with it,
On
Mr.
there,
Banks?
yeah, it's his residence. He lives, on
It's
51. as he said.
Madison. Madison started right on my property, right next to Hard Time Road. And my property right there, it starts right there in Madison County. And my property like 2305, here's 2309, and on down.
I know the board, we approve, we do approve zoning, but once we finish approving the zoning, as far as who owns the land, it's really left up to the landowner and who's purchasing the land. I mean, the county doesn't have any say or anything to do with who owns the land. If I'm hearing you correctly, there's someone out there that's surveying the property.
Well, this guy has a surveyor, Matt Burns, whoever it is. He'd been out there about 4 times.
Right.
And each time he'll come and move, because what they're saying is that this property, I'd never had my property surveyed because we never had to worry about it.
Right.
And, but when they got there, this guy came by one day, and he said, look like that might be about 40 feet of property over there, because he sent his surveyor over to my side. And he said, look like that might be about 40 feet of property over there. You must be just cutting grass over there or whatever. That's Miss Laura's Chinese garden when I bought it there. But it's not over on his property line.
Who
So-
owns the property now that,
This guy name is Jonathan McDaniel. I
Okay.
don't know the name of this company, but they got it built back there now.
yeah,
I just don't like, how they try to me, like they try to intimidate and stuff. Like I say, I'm gonna have to call the fire people. They got a burn pile like nowhere from my house, and all of that space they got out there right now.
that's too close. If
And
it's-
I just felt there should have been something here that when they go out there, hey, this is where y'all conduct yourselves on this property, And if it was, I wouldn't have the issues that I'm having now, if he followed his paperwork.
I think, and we've been talking about this several times, and, well, one, I know you're gonna need a survey. You need a survey of your surveyor to tell you exactly where your property is. Two, our fire coordinator should be involved in if they got a burn pile. I don't know if they've lifted the burn or not, but Norman, is it proper to burn in the county now?
Yes, sir. The man burn's been lifted for several weeks now.
Okay. Can you take a look though down here and see if they set his what they plan on burning too close to his property line?
Yeah, I can check that.
Okay. I think that the best that we can do is, you're gonna have to get the survey done. And once you get the survey done, then you can have enforcement, sheriff's department, whoever, for any encroachment that they're doing on you. I know we've talked to Scott, having Scott to go down there and look at them and talk to them about, and it seems that instead of them getting better, they've gotten worse. And I understand, and I appreciate what you're going through, but the county cannot do the survey. That's something that you're gonna have to do, is get that survey done. Like you said, you never surveyed it, but you do have you got a deed, and there's a legal description, and that surveyor could follow that deed and that legal description and point out where your property is.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike, are there anything else that, what you hear today that the county can do to help Mr. Larry?
Mr. Banks set forth pretty clearly.
Okay.
It's a private property issue except for the burn. They're burning trash too close to your house. It might be a risk to the county, to the neighborhoods. We could do that, but as far as you and your neighbor, that's a private party issue, and we are not able to get involved. So as Mr. Banks said, you should get your own survey to see exactly where you stand. And that's something you have to do. We can't do that. And we'll go from there.
Okay. And that's even if his property already been surveyed. I mean, his property been surveyed and it's not over there, but he got a property line, but he decided to come across his.
That was a survey for him.
Right.
You need to get your own survey.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Larry.
Thank you, Ron.
We'll be talking there.
Norman, if you will, work with him today, tomorrow, and let's see if we can help him in that arena. Next, Greg, on the consent.
Matthew Scott.
Mr. Scott? Come on up in a couple of minutes.
I'm here again about the same situation. The last time I was here, you all said you was going to get the permit manager to address some of the issues that I had. And so I'm just here to make sure that that is done. I don't see it on the agenda, so I guess we can address it now.
Well, where's Scott? Scott, come on up and we can address it. Yeah, we can address it with Scott and see what he has come up with. So if you would, let him just speak a couple minutes, please.
Morning, Supervisors.
Morning.
Had to look at the video last week to verify all the questions, and I do have some answers. Mr. Scott talked about a permit was good for 6 months and is void if no work or an extension can be granted. That is true, but I do not know that from Mr. Kelly. I will have to verify that from him, and if he has not done any work, he can get an extension for that work, and extensions only come in 6-month increments.
Right.
The next question Mr. Scott asked was about a shop under IBC code 2902.1, and what that refers to is the lavatories and stuff like that, plumbing. Now, if you look in the IBC, it has an exception. Residential uses and accessory structures refer to the International Residential Code. International Building Code typically follows commercial, industrial buildings of assembly. So it refers to the International Residential Code. He also referred to there were 5 inspections. Not all permits require all the inspections. And this one, in this case, did not have plumbing, nor it was never intended to have plumbing. Therefore, it only had 4 inspections, not 5. Mr. Scott also talked about an easement. Not an easement. He said where the driveways tie into each other.
Right.
I pulled up the deeds to this property, and it shows a 30-foot easement that goes to that driveway.
No, it don't go to the driveway. It goes
Oh,
to
hold
the
on a
road.
second, Miss Larry. Hold on. I mean, Miss Scott. Is that easement across Miss Scott's property?
I
Or don't
can't
know?
verify that. I do have them right here, which I pulled them up. Now, that's a civil issue.
Yeah, right.
Let me find the rest. He also referred to the plans do not have foundation and electrical. I had the plans in the back of the room. They did include the foundation and electrical. I do have those if you would like to see.
Okay.
I would like to see them.
I do agree with Mr. Scott that a porta potty should have been required. I wasn't aware of that at the time. I can notify the builder to place one on site. Also agreed that the final has not been done. Therefore, I will request Mr. Kelly remove all the equipment on site until he gets final inspection.
Okay. I think that was one of the main issues that he was asking as well. But we do not know if he has been there or continuing to work on the structure then.
I do not know that
Yeah.
personally.
Okay.
I live right next door, so I see the progress all the time. All you got to do is,
Mr.
he
Scott?
can send one of his people out there and take a look.
Talk to us, okay? I think Scott answered your question.
No, he didn't.
Which
There
ones
was a
did he?
couple of questions that he did not answer.
Okay.
And the issue about the 2 years, he stood here and the owner stood here and said that he had 2 years to finish that building. And that permit does not say you have 2 years. It says you're supposed to work 6-month intervals. And if you don't have anything done within 6 months, then you got to start all over again in getting a permit. He still has not addressed
Hey,
that.
Scott, this,
All right, may I go down and finish the other things that he said
can,
that he didn't address properly? 2902.1 refers to shop, and I can show you the paperwork. They gave the man a permit, and it says on the permit, shop. And I showed you all that the last meeting. He did not address that. He said he'd make it seem like it's residential, but on the permit, it says shop. So what is he doing? Shop or residential? I mean, your permit has all kind of imperfections, and you're not abiding by it. Now, one thing that I do
hold on a
agree,
second.
and I
Keep
appreciate
going.
that he is
Hold on,
doing.
Hold on, keep going down the list that he did not answer your question, because I want to make sure we get a list of them to where he will answer the questions. So if you
Okay,
will, keep going down the list.
Okay, those are the things.
I have.
The shop, he actually building a shop,
Right.
so that the IBC that he's reading does not address the 2902.1 code. And I think they need to look into that and verify it more. If not, I can get somebody to look into it, but I hate to hire a lawyer to do all of this when they should be doing it.
He can look into it and get back with you on that. Shouldn't be a problem.
And on the permit that they gave, they did say it was going to be 5 inspections. It's in black and white. But now he's saying it's not going to be 5 inspections. And if they're building a building, a shop, you're supposed to have restroom facilities. Those guys are going to be there working, and they're there now, working, and they need somewhere to use a restroom.
I think he answered that.
No, he
as
didn't.
well, that
He said that they're not doing a shop, and 2902.1 did not apply to this. It does apply to this because they are building a shop, and it's on the permit that they're building a shop.
Okay. Any others? Scott and Andy Clark. Is Andy in? Andy, if you will, get involved in this as well as attorney and work with Scott, and all three of y'all sit down and make sure he gets the answers.
Absolutely, you got it.
You know.
And can we do this quickly? I've been doing this for 3 months, and this needle
You're
has
right.
not moved at all.
Well, it has moved.
Oh,
It has
we
moved.
We still got a man sitting there bringing in all this equipment back
I
and forth,
understand.
loaded up this lot right next to my home and these other homes that's over there that's been built within the last 10 years. Mine been there 18 years, but some of them are fairly new. I mean, these are nice homes. We don't need this junk right next
I
to
agree,
us.
but when you first came up, you had a list of maybe 8 items on that list that we needed to address, and it sounds like we've gotten it down to 2.
No, sir.
And now we are asking the attorney to get involved to ensure what we're doing is correct.
Tell me
If
what you all
not,
have addressed.
whatever you brought in front of us 3 months ago.
You have not addressed them. We still have a man that has a pole barn.
Yeah,
He's
I agree.
supposed to have an enclosed building. So he didn't address that. The infractions of the permit has not been addressed. And it's about 4 infractions that I mentioned. Those have not been addressed.
Well, you just
So
gave me,
I don't see anything that you have addressed.
well, you gave me 2 items. So Andy, if you will, get involved, and y'all just get this thing resolved. 'Cause
Please.
he's been up here 4 or 5 times, and I know we've made some progress on it, but let's go ahead and get this thing nailed down and addressed.
I appreciate it.
Do it. And let's do it in a timely manner as well, but then if we could this week, would be appreciated.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Greg?
The remainder is for Lake Caroline. Would you like to handle that now, Mr. President, or wait until it shows
No,
up
let's just
on the
wait
agenda?
until, if you don't mind it, let's just wait until that comes up. If the rest of them, is dealing with Lake Carolina, and then that way we can do it all at one time, if you don't mind it. Next on the agenda is Kay and Stephanie. Are they, okay. Oh, Heath, I did skip Heath, then. Come on up, Heath.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry, I
skipped
did
Heath.
skip you. You're right. Yes, sir. Come on up next. Is Kay here? Okay.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Hope everyone had a great weekend. As you know, I come before you once a year to give you an update on our social media activities, our Facebook page, and our app. And the administrator is passing out a short analysis that we did the other day for you. What we're continuing to see is very healthy growth. We started back in 2020 with a little over 1,100 followers, and now we're bumping up against almost 10,000 followers. So, I'm sorry, yes, 10,000 followers. Now, if you break that second page, if you break it down by month, you'll see that we're coming in around 40,000 views a month. So that number continues to strengthen and to get larger. Really, the other thing I wanted to bring up to you is that the Facebook, when you're looking at all the followers, 80% of them are from Madison County, and then there's Hinds County and Rankin County, or Rankin and then Hinds County. So that's a good number. That means we're starting to get closer and closer to, a fraction of the population that we're reaching out to. In regards to the app, we've seen growth in that as well, 16% from the last period to now. And if someone hasn't already downloaded it, please do. Madison Supervisors. The number one thing that they go to are the board meetings, and I've heard stories that someone would be on traveling from the government and from Madison County and watch a board meeting sitting in Utah from the app, and so that's kind of what it's there for, and it's almost also like having your website address, your website right in your pocket. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Like I said, I'm seeing consistent, healthy growth, and I'm also seeing that we're not having to spend as much money on to get likes as we used to. It used to be 80% of our followers and likes were attached to the amount of money that we put out there. That number has come down to about 65%. So that tells me, once again, there is very healthy growth. Be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Keith, thank you for coming and sharing this, and you do this yearly for us. And I'm just looking in October, we had 47,288 views. And of course, September had almost 26, August, almost 55,000. And these are views that we share with people that are signed up to see the views as well. And these are the things that's going on in Madison County.
Absolutely. These views right here are a combination of people who are already following us and people who are not following us. Now, when they go in there and they view something, we send them an invitation out like that to follow us, and we get a pretty good rate of return on that. So if you took January to October, you had 431,000 views, but that's not 431,000 people. That may be, Heath Hall going to it 200 times that month.
Yeah. And I like the way you broke it down. We have 27% male that looks at it and 73% female. Well, and then you have it broken down by age as well, the age group. And appreciate that. But for those that do not know or maybe not be familiar with this, is that this is what we put out after each board meeting. These are just the facts that the board votes on. There's not any political agenda or anything of that nature. This is just the facts that are put out after each board member and during the month that things are happening, going on within the county. We put those out to let the people that are signed up to follow know that this is what's going on. So it's nothing purely but facts.
It's all facts. We do about 16 posts per month, so one every other day, and it's just factual information.
Right, and this could be something to do with the mega site, new buildings that's going on within the county. It could be infrastructure. It could be rezoning. It could be anything. It's good information.
Amazon, and all those great things.
You're right. Other questions for Heath? If not, we appreciate you coming and share.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Heath.
Thank you, Supervisors.
Come a long way in the last 4 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Stephanie. Good morning.
Good morning. I think that Ms. Pace is out of town today.
Okay.
I'm here to give you an update on our forensic analysis. It started in July.
Right.
And last week, I did finally issue our report symbolizing that this part of our work is complete. The report, I believe, went to all the supervisors. It went to Mr. Higginbotham and Ms. Pace. It did not really detail anything that we haven't already discussed, but it did just make a record of those things. And I'll be happy to answer any questions about that. Going forward, in the next month, in the month of December, and then early in January, my my plan is to continue to bring the accounting records up to date and help Ms. Pace with some reports that she has to issue at the end of her term, so that we will have a very smooth transition to the new tax collector.
Right.
I have met with him once and discussed some some recommendations for going forward, and then we're going to meet again this week, I believe. So I'm very optimistic that the new administration is going to go forward with some integrity and some vision to, run the office.
Okay. I know last board meeting, we was notified with a lot of refunds.
Yes.
That has been sitting in a corner or sitting somewhere or another. Can you give us an update on where that may be?
I can tell you that Ms. Pace said that she had issued all the refunds, and I have not verified that. But I do know that a number of the refunds, I know all the ones from the current year and the prior year, I think have been issued. I know a number of people in my office received refunds and commented to me about it. So I do think that's a process that they jumped on and got to work with. I don't know exactly how many of those were done, but I can find out.
I've heard pretty large, substantial numbers tossed around. Is it been confirmed that none of the money's actually missing? It was just placed in wrong accounts, or none of the money was stolen?
No, I did not find any evidence of money being stolen at all. What I did find was that money was settled to the wrong entity and then corrected without taking in without asking for it back. In other words, we sent it to the county, we sent it to the city, but we didn't ask the county to give it back. And that's how that $600,000 shortfall occurred.
Okay.
$600,000
So it's
plus.
mismanagement?
Yes.
On getting back to the refunds.
Yes.
You think you'll have that, or she'll have that verified by the end of the month?
Yes, I will look into that this week. And
Okay.
would you like me to email you what I find? Would that help?
Well, you can email the board.
Okay.
And the administrator, please.
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
I will do
And
that.
just kind of keep us updated. Are there any other items or any other things that you've come across that you haven't addressed to the board at this time?
Not specifically. I will mention this one thing, which I think is symptomatic, is it's nothing that I can quantify. But you know personally that your own business had an issue with some property. where the taxes were paid, the check was cashed, it wasn't applied properly. And an error like that didn't surface for 2 years because the next year when they paid the tax, they said, we can't take this money, this has been sold at a tax sale. It took a full 10 days to straighten that out, to unravel that issue. And it was, in the end, just pure clerical error that made that happen. And those things are hard to explain to a taxpayer, that it took us 2 years to figure out what went wrong here. And it was hard for your business to find a person who would get there. So I think that the service to the taxpayer needs to improve, and I think that it probably will.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that the new tax collector, CJ, has met with you at least once and hopefully again this week.
Right.
Because we want to do what we can to ensure that he is on solid ground come January 1.
Absolutely.
To be able to move forward, because that's January and February are 2 busiest months.
Absolutely.
And
And I feel that burden also because my work here, though closely tied to the tax collector, has been for you, the Board of Supervisors, and you deserve a new administration starting out on a clean slate with their,
Right.
solid footing.
Okay.
Okay?
And so the next reporting time, I guess, would be the first meeting in January for you to come back and kind of give us the final, we hope, the final results for
The
end of
final
December.
wrap-up on the December tax period.
Yes.
Okay? I will
Okay.
do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate your patience as well and the work that you've done for us.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Okay, moving along to Mr. Weeks, Mr. Clark.
Mr. President, Board, I have a joint request from the attorney for Mr. Phillips and the appellants that this matter be continued until the second meeting in January, which I believe would be Tuesday, January the 16th.
January 16th. All right, do I have a motion?
Move.
Got a motion, do I have a second? Second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. And I want to come back up to the concerned citizens. Are we going down to, I see Lake Caroline's on down.
Yes,
Number
sir.
40, yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll be down there shortly. I don't think we have very much. So, next item's consent items. Do I have a motion for approval? Got a motion, Supervisor Jones. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Baxter. Discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed? Business items, we're gonna skip that one, item 34 to a little
Until
bit
10
after
o'clock,
10.
yes, sir.
Judge O'Neill? Is the judge in the house? If not, Tim? Did you see the judge outside?
No, sir, I did not.
All right, she'll probably be here a little later on, then we'll back up and get hers as well. Tim, you're up.
All right. First item I got is going to be a short presentation for you, but we're required by our NPDS permit to do an annual training for the Board of Supervisors. So I invite Paul with Allen Engineering up to do a short presentation for you for our annual training.
Okay. Paul, come up and give your name and address and who you're with.
Will do. So Paul Lanning, 234 Arbor Trails, Brandon, Mississippi, 39047 with Allen Engineering and Science. I'd ask about 5 minutes of your time. You're welcome to time me and cut me off. If I get there, I don't think I will. I'm glad to see so many people here concerned about stormwater. Now, I know they got other issues on the agenda, so I'll be short and brief, I promise you. So as Tim mentioned, this is an annual training we have to do. There are two major issues as you develop within the county related to stormwater runoff. You have water quality and water quantity. So looking at water quality related to sediment and things like that, there's a PDF presentation of this in your agenda. You don't have to pull it up.
Alan, do you mind talking a little closer than the mic?
Sorry, it got moved, my bad. So here's a picture of Pelahatchie Bay, Google Earth 2020, and you can see the amount of sediment that's become of that due to the development around it. So from a water quality standpoint, the developments that have been around it did not have the proper erosion sediment control. And so the county, or not the county, PRV is now spending almost $3 million to dredge that currently. And I know just firsthand, because I live in that general area, that there's, boat slips that people can't even get into right now, and that's why they're having to dredge it. So that's water quality. Now, water quantity, obviously with more development, you have increase for flash flooding, and we don't want anybody to lose life or property. So we want to make sure we develop the county in such a way to minimize those type of risks. I'm not going to speak to climate change, but we're just in a weather pattern right now that has increased more intense storm events. So our developments need to be designed in such a way to manage those increased peak flows coming off the sites. Just talking about the regulatory history, this is an EPA program, so it's a federal program. It's permitted in 5-year cycles. We're currently in the 3rd permit cycle, but it actually finished in 2021. We're waiting on DEQ to issue the new stormwater general permit. When they do, we'll have to, on behalf of the county, rewrite your stormwater management plan to address any new changes that permit has. It may not have any, so we may be able to keep the plan as it is. That would be ideal, but if anything changes, we'll have to update it. That plan has addressed 6 minimum measures, anything from public education and involvement to construction and post-construction stormwater controls. I'm not going to stand up here and advertise for what we do for you guys, but we do a lot throughout the year. DEQ has come and audited the county twice since I've worked for you guys, since 2016, and we've passed those audits with flying colors. There have been cities in the Jackson metro area that are fined because their stormwater programs are not up to par. We also conduct employee trainings, and so I had a picture in the PDF, illicit discharge that occurred in Germantown. So I'm from Memphis originally. And so the city had a diesel tank that leaked, or a generator that leaked diesel into the city's water system, and they couldn't drink water for a week. The reason I bring that up is I bring this type of information to the employees because they're out and about, they're at the county facilities and things like that. So just give them things to look for and things that may have occurred over time. Last, I'm going to touch on gray infrastructure and green infrastructure, and then I'll get out of here. So gray infrastructure is pretty much what we have right now. Water hits a roof, goes into the driveway, goes into the gutter or the swale, depending on what kind of neighborhood you live in, goes into a pipe and goes out into our streams and rivers and creeks. Green infrastructure tries to stop that storm water as soon as it hits the ground. So where you may have like a rain garden, permeable paver, something like that. I was in Mobile this weekend. I went to dinner Saturday night, like a strip mall type of setting. The parking lot, the parking spaces closest to the road, furthest from the building, were all permeable pavers. Now that works on the coast because they have sandy soils. That same practice may not work in Madison County because we have clay soils, right? But EPA may start mandating this type of practice. So it's something the county supervisors should be aware and try to use that, if you are mandated to use it, in a manner that doesn't impact a building structure or parking structure. And the last but not least, and I'm not going to promote a rain tax, so to speak, but stormwater infrastructure is a massive cost. EPA estimates almost $67 billion, or $67 million over the next 20 years to stormwater infrastructure. In most states, and I didn't even realize this until I printed this picture, but almost every state in the United States has stormwater utilities. But in Mississippi, that's against you can't do it. You can't tax the rain. You can set up a stormwater utility, but you can't actually collect funds for it. So this may be something down the road, not today, that counties, state, cities may want to look at because it is an important cost, and we want to address stormwater. So that's what I have. If you have any questions, feel free to answer them. And then the presentation is in your packet. So.
Okay. Are there any questions? If not, we appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Tim? Do we need a motion on that?
No, we just need it to be reflected in the minutes. All right, next item I have is a single lot subdivision in Lost Rabbit. This is just a section of Lost Rabbit that had one little area that wasn't platted. This is lots 579, Lost Rabbit Town Center, Block 5, Part 1. First item I have is the preliminary plat for this development. It's one lot on 1,642 square feet of property, no public infrastructure.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Supervisor Jones, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right. Next item is the very same thing, but the final plat for the same subdivision.
Got a motion, Supervisor Jones.
Second.
Second, Supervisor Baxter. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Tim,
Got it.
have
Yes,
you
sir.
gotten the road study back on Striblin Road yet?
The pavement study, we've gotten a preliminary one back. We have not gotten the final, but yes, we have gotten the results of it back yet. I mean, we have gotten the results of it, and it's looking like the road will support the additional weight of 18-wheelers.
What about the traffic count? As far as, do we have to widen the road?
Well, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the capacity report versus the pavement analysis.
I understand that. But
Well,
do we need it?
yes, we've gotten two reports back.
Yeah.
We've gotten the widening report, and yes, the road is going to need to be widened. And we've gotten the pavement analysis report for the existing pavement structure.
Widen from which point? From DeWeese to Catlett, or what?
You catch me cold. This is going to be presented to you all at the first meeting in January.
Do they have a cost estimate?
We do not have a cost estimate yet.
But that cost estimate will be presented as well, first meeting in January.
Yes.
When you bring the other.
Yes.
And I want to move back to the pavement, structure of the pavement that you mentioned at the very beginning. And you said it was the pavement that we currently, or the road bed, I'm going to use the road bed currently, that's there now, withstand 80,000 or 90,000 pound trucks.
Right, delivery trucks. We would not open it for through trucks. We would open it for delivery trucks to the commercial development, which would be 5 to 10 trucks a day.
And
it
that,
would not be a throughway for trucks, for dump trucks or anything like that to go from point A to point B.
And that start was at Catholic Road, how far?
What we studied was from Catlett Road to DeWeese.
Okay.
That section of the road, which is currently set at a 10,000 pound load limit.
Do you have any thoughts, and I know you didn't do this, but from DeWeese Road on further west, the 463, would there be any difference in y'all's thought process without?
I would not think so, but we didn't study that. We didn't do pavement analysis there. We didn't do cores, or we don't know what the structure of the pavement is, that section. I would assume it would be roughly the same, but I can't tell you that for sure.
How thick is the pavement out there now? Do you recall?
In some sections, it's 16 inches deep, just the pavement. It varies from 10 to 16 inches.
Okay.
It's a lot of
That is a
pavement over
lot.
the years.
That is a lot. So, okay. Any other questions for Tim?
When is your guesstimate of reunion being opened all the way?
It's funny, the notice to proceed for Reunion 2 was issued for today. That's an early notice to proceed. The official notice to proceed for when time starts is March 1st, but the contractor is out there today starting on Reunion 2. We expect that to be a 2-year time frame. So I would guess 2 years from today, that whole section will be open from 51 to Bozeman.
Good deal. Thank you, Tim.
All right.
Appreciate it. I see that Thad, Steve, y'all are back. If y'all would like to come up, we'll back up a little and get y'all. So y'all come on up then. Oh, need to wait to 10?
I'll wait to see you.
We'll continue to wait. And Scott?
First item I have is to acknowledge planning and zoning draft minutes, 11/9/2023.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Supervisor Banks, I'll second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 40.
Mr. Clark? It's Lake Caroline zoning.
Y'all know I have a tendency to sometimes be long-winded, but my daddy's a preacher and I'm a lawyer, so I can't help it. Nonetheless, I'm going to try to be brief here.
Okay.
Back in June, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the site plan for the Stribling Market. And Mr. Bill Harden timely filed a notice of appeal of the zoning administrator's administrative interpretation of that. Basically, what he was saying was, I think y'all have the zoning wrong, or that the zoning is not appropriate. Scott and I, Mr. Harden and Mr. McDill actually, literally turned the courthouse upside down. And the conclusion that we came to was that the master plan that we were looking at when we verified the zoning was incorrect. It was in a folder and it was marked, but it was incorrect. So I had to do a little research, and what we found was that in 2008, there had been a good bit of litigation over the Lake Caroline community. As you know, at one time the golf course was going away and there were going to be houses out there. Supreme Court decision ultimately put it back in you guys' hands to determine whether a master development plan even existed. Right. In 2008, you guys adopted the 2003 master development plan for Lake Caroline as the 2008 master development plan for Lake Caroline. This particular property on that master plan shows that it is commercial development consistent with PUD zoning. Well, the PUD zoning at that time was a P1 PUD. That was a standalone district. And what it did as far as commercial property was very broad, basically left it in your hands as to what was allowable out there. Subsequent passages of other ordinances for the county did not address the missing P1 PUD. It went away. So now we're in a conundrum as to, at least in my mind, there's no doubt that that property is commercial, but what commercial? You've got C1, you've got C1A, you've got C2. Right. So I think the appropriate measure was for the Planning and Zoning Commission to rescind their approval of the site plan, which we did at our November meeting. And I'm here today to ask you guys to set a public hearing to determine which type of commercial designation this should be. And I believe the proper or a good time for that and allow us to advertise and all would also be the second meeting in January. That would be Tuesday, January the 16th.
Got a motion, and I'll second it for a little further discussion. Andy, does this needs to come back in front of the planning and zoning?
I do not believe so. I don't believe that a rezoning is in order.
Okay.
Quite frankly, it's not the developer's fault that the ordinance never picked up what should be in place of a P1 PUD. So I do not believe that it should be back before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And so basically, this is not a rezoning. This is just a identification of what the property should be.
That's correct, a clarification. We've had this issue come up before, oddly enough, on the, I guess, the north side of Lake Caroline. And that property was just listed as commercial. And you guys determined that it was C2 commercial, but that's on Highway 22. So this is a little bit different, and I believe deserves your attention.
Okay. Other questions for Andy? If not, we have a motion on the table to set the public hearing for January the 16th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got a motion, got a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Mr. President, we have anybody that wants to speak?
Yeah, we're going to get to that here shortly. Let's go ahead and finish up with Scott first, and then we want to come back to the public.
The next item I have is White Farms LLC site plan for new business on Highway 51. It's located just south of Gluckstadt Trailer, if you know where that is, and across the road from Davini Equipment. It is C2 Commercial, Supervisor District 5, and it was approved by the P&Z 11/9/2023.
Okay, do I have a motion? Motion Supervisor Jones, do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Banks, discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 42.
This is a plat amendment, Town of Lost Rabbit, Phase 1, Lot 15.
Motion.
Got a motion Supervisor Baxter, second Supervisor Jones, discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, and let's come back to We come back with the concerned citizens. How many is on the list?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, let's start with the first one, please.
That would be Betty Lou Sutherland. Okay, next would be Judith M. Fulati, maybe.
Okay. Please come up and state your name and address and a couple minutes, please.
Good morning, Supervisors. Thank you. My name is Judith Fulati. I've provided Madam Clerk with my address. I've also provided Madam Clerk with handouts that she is now distributing to you. I'd like to ask that it be made part of the record, please. Just a couple of points I'd like to raise in order to create a record potentially on down the road. And that is, as Mr. Clark mentioned, going back to the 2008 decision made by this body, December 1st. You'll see attached to my handout as Exhibit A, meeting minutes for this board dated December 1 of 8. And one of the issues that was addressed then was the requirement by Supervisor Banks recuse himself from deliberating on the matter, given the fact that he was, at that time, and I believe continues to be, a homeowning resident in Lake Caroline, and as such pays annual assessment fees. So the matter went, and Mr. Banks will recall this, I'm sure, it was a little unusual. It went before the Mississippi Ethics Commission, and the Ethics Commission then is the one that drafted the opinion, which was then followed by this body. So nothing appears to have changed, and that is an issue then going forward to consider. The other point that I'd like to raise is a little unusual. It's something that I haven't seen during the course of my legal career and in the course of the different boards that I have been a part of. But that was the vote configuration on December the 1st, when it came to adopting the 2003 master plan. There was, of course, the one recusal. There were 2 aye votes, 1 nay, and then 1 abstention. So my question is not to be answered here at this time necessarily, but something maybe that will be raised by lawyers, judicial officers down the road, is whether that vote consideration creates a binding authority establishing precedents. Because it appears that that particular vote configuration wasn't or may not have constituted an affirmative majority vote by the entire membership of the governing body. It's a little unusual. I've never seen that type of a vote, so my question, and creating a record with an eye towards the future, is whether the adoption of the 2003 PUD has binding effect at this time. So you've got my outline, you have the attached relevant portions of the 2008 board minutes, and that concludes what I have to say. Thank you for your time. Congratulations to Supervisor Banks and Baxter on your reelection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mike, you get a copy of this?
Yes.
Mr. Clark, you get a copy?
No, sir, I did not, but I can get one from Mr.
Okay, and do we have a motion for this to be entered into the minutes?
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Baxter, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Next on the list, on the concern.
That'd be Mr. Bill Harden.
Mr. Harden? Please come up and state your name, give your address, please. Couple minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Bill Harden, 142 Bridgewater Drive, Addison, Mississippi, Lake Caroline. I've got a memorandum, and I provided copies for the clerk, and I'd like to ask that it be made a part of the record. Section 806.04 of the Madison County zoning ordinance states proposed rezoning should be consistent with an adopted comprehensive plan. Section 17.19 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended requires, quote, zoning regulations shall be made in accordance with a comprehensive plan. Accordingly, no amendment to the official zoning map shall be approved unless the proposed rezoning is consistent with all four elements of the adopted comprehensive plan of Madison County, including the goals and objectives, the land use plan, the transportation plan, and the community facilities plan. The land use plan, which is the basis of the zoning map, depicts the subject property, and we're talking about the northeast corner of Stribling Road and Caroline Boulevard, as low-density residential use. The remainder of the Lake Caroline PUD is designated as moderate-density residential use. Therefore, the land use plan would need to be amended prior to any rezoning request for any classification other than low-density residential use. The transportation plan designates Stribling Road as a minor arterial street and Caroline Boulevard as a residential street, neither of which is a highway. Section 2703 of the Madison County zoning ordinance states very clearly that rezoning is required for development of a portion of a PUD for townhouses, patio homes, multifamily, or commercial use. The official zoning map of Madison County shows the Lake Caroline community is zoned PUD, Plan Unit Development. The existing land use map depicts the subject property as vacant agricultural acreage. This request, if approved, would constitute textbook spot zoning, which is defined in the Madison County zoning ordinance. It is the improper zoning or rezoning of a lot or parcel of land to benefit an owner for a use incompatible with surrounding land uses. It is generally regarded as an improper practice. If approved, this would set a dangerous precedent for future commercial rezoning requests along both Stribling Road and Caroline Boulevard. Approving such a request would be arbitrary and capricious. It would have a devastating effect on thousands of tax-paying property owners whose subdivisions have ingress and egress off Stribling Road and Caroline Boulevard. The only commercial zoning on Stribling Road between Catlett Road and its western terminus with Mansdale Road, which is Highway 463, is at the northeast corner of Stribling Road and Highway 463. Any commercial use contemplated within an established PUD should be non-retail in nature. In other words, offices, no retail. We just ask that the board follow the official zoning ordinance of Madison County, which they adopted, and afford all affected property owners their due process rights. Please make the ethical and legal decision and not allow construction of a gas station at the main entrance to one of the premier residential developments in the southeastern United States. This is the ordinance you adopted. This is what you need to go by. Now, there was reference by Mr. Clark to the master plan dated 2003. It's a concept plan. In other words, it's an idea. It's kind of like a concept car. They may create a concept car, but it may never be built. This plan specifically says future commercial use in accordance with PUD zoning. The zoning ordinance says you got to go through the rezoning process. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Mr. Harden. And you wanted the, do I have a motion for the paper that he sent out to go to the minutes?
I'll give a motion, but at the second.
All right, we got
I've got a discussion with Andy.
Hold on one second. Got a motion for the paper that he handed out to go in the minutes exhibits.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Banks.
Wait, this is pertaining to the paper.
Okay, now discussion.
Andy, what he's saying is if it's a zoned a PUD, it needs an official rezoning, is that? and
That's
you're
what he's
it's
saying.
not a-
I disagree.
You know, that's something that all this is going to have to be worked out, you know,
Okay.
between now and the public hearing time.
That's right.
And when I say worked out, I'm talking about understood.
Right.
You know, because the last two that come up and spoke, you know, they handed out a piece of paper that, you know, legally, the attorney's got to get together and inform the board.
That's right.
Hey, this is what, you know, this is what you think it is.
That's right.
But I will say that, you know, it's unfortunate that we've having to deal with this today, and this is not the first situation that has come in front of this board since I've been on it in 12 years, that prior boards have come and done things and have not finished what they should have finished, whether it's recording or whether they should have made a decision on something like this. This decision should have been made and finalized in, sound like in 03 or 08.
That's right.
You know, and this board has to come and take it up and listen and make a decision to move forward one way or the other.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is not the first time.
Right. And we want the right decision.
We want the right and the best decision. That is correct.
Andy, you're
Correct.
saying that, in your opinion, it's zoned a PUD, but it's also zoned commercial. We just have to choose which type of commercial. He's saying, and it was a good argument, that an official rezoning is required, but you're also requesting a public hearing for a not official rezoning?
Right. I don't know of any other way to do it other than, I mean, the zoning designation is not up to me. I mean, it's up to you guys, but, you know, this is kind of a unique situation. So that's, like Mr. Steen said, the best answer is to have a public hearing where you can hear arguments both for and against the process or the designation, whatever it may be. It's just, like I said, this is just a unique situation, and this I believe is the best answer and the best protocol to follow.
If these people obviously seem well organized and well informed, would it put the county on firmer legal ground if we went through the whole process and had an official rezoning if it were to go to court?
I see your point. Either way, somebody's not going to be happy about this, I would imagine. Okay? So, I can't really answer your question. I see your point, but I won't say that it would be stronger or weaker or either way.
And then what about the point that they made about Mr. Banks voting on this? Where do we sit with that?
That would be a decision for Mr. Banks, but I mean, I would assume that if he had recused himself from the prior vote, he would probably follow suit. I don't know. That would be for him and Mr. Espy to determine.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I end this, are there anyone else would like to come up and speak as a concerned citizen while we have this open? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address in a couple minutes, please.
My name's Brad McDill. I live at 120 Burn Run, Madison. Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I just want to piggyback on what Mr. Harden said a little bit, and I listened to Mr. Clark. I've actually talked to Mr. Clark a fair amount about this, and I see what he's saying. He's saying the 2003 map that was adopted says commercial per PUD zoning. The problem with that is we don't know what that PUD zoning is.
Right.
When that PUD was approved in 1980, whatever, there should have been a commercial zoning case then, which told us what kind of commercial this was. Apparently, nobody can find that, or it was not done. So without that being done, to do it the way, with all due respect to Mr. Clark, he's putting you guys in a position to do something without all the information, because you don't know what this should be or what it's even asked to be. In 1980, maybe it was asked to be the least restrictive, the most restrictive commercial designation that you guys had. And it's in a PUD, so most likely it was asked to be the most restrictive, the least burdensome on a residential community. So what I do believe is appropriate is what Mr. Baxter was asking is, this needs to be a rezoning case. There's a reason for that is rezoning petitions show the community, show the board what this developer or property owner is asking for. So for us to come in here for the public hearing in January, based on how it sits right now, we don't know what we're fighting for. We don't even know if we want to fight it. If you told us it was going to be C1A, maybe we don't show up and fight it. If you tell us it's going to be C2, you can bet your bottom dollar we show up and fight it. So right now, we don't know what we're fighting. We don't know what guidelines you guys are using to make your determination when January public hearing rolls around. And I think that is the importance of a rezoning petition is it gives everybody, the citizens of Madison County, that information so that people can make a decision as to how they want to address it or if they even want to address it. And that's all I've got. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Bet. Are they any, Mr. Clark? Hold on one second. Right, we do.
One very brief, just reply to Mr. McDill. We do know what the PUD zoning was in 1983, and I have it here. It was a P1 plan unit development, which allowed for the following uses are permitted. Commercial uses shall be limited to those specifically approved by the Board of Supervisors. And then it goes on to hear what the developer should demonstrate and all that. So that's what the property, the last zoning that it was. So to the extent that this gives you some sort of guidelines, I would ask that this be admitted to the minutes too, since we're compiling a record.
All right, we already have a motion for these papers from Mr. Harden be omitted. So with that being said, any other discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Andy, do you have a copy of these from Mr. Harden? All right, and also I would like to have a motion on that. Got a motion from Mr. Banks that what Mr. Clark asked to be in the minutes as well, and I'll second that motion as well. Discussion on that. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Mr. Harden, I don't usually let people come back up and talk second time, but come on.
He forced me to.
No, he didn't force you. Come on.
This ordinance was adopted in 2019. It supersedes any previous ordinance.
Right. You're right there. 100%. You're correct. Any others that would like to stand up and speak? Because this is very important matter. Yes, ma'am. Come up and please state your name, give the address, and a couple of minutes.
How are y'all today?
Good morning.
I don't usually speak.
You pull that mic down a little bit if you
My
like.
name is Ann Smith. I live at 448 Caroline Boulevard, Madison, Mississippi. Lived there since 2015. When I drove and with my husband to Lake Caroline, we entered the front entrance. Beautiful, beautiful place, serene, peaceful. Loved it. Saw the golf course. You know, never use it, but the place is just absolutely where we wanted to retire. I'm 62 and a half, my husband's 66. The lake, you know, couldn't ask for a beautiful place to live. Never have I lived from Texas to Hattiesburg, Mississippi to Avalon and Brandon to Lake Caroline, have I ever lived where a subdivision had a service station or even what they're proposing to build? We have a front entrance and a exit entrance to Lake Caroline. How are they going to propose to make it to where these gas trucks and all these commercial trucks are going to get in and out without tearing up Lake Caroline? Are they going to do, I mean, would they come in and do it to Ashbrook? Would they come in and do it to Reunion? Would they come in and do it to anything other than someplace in Madison County? Reunion's in the city, so, you know, Miss Harden's not going to let it happen. We expect the board to do the best for Lake Caroline and make it to where people still want to come and live in Lake Caroline or Ashbrook or Lake Hathaway. Think about the future and not just today. I appreciate y'all listening to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else before we move on to the next item?
I got a question. Andy, what was the document you were just referring to? Sir? What was the document you just had in your hand you were referring to?
Yeah, that's from the 1983 ordinance that was in effect at the time of the adoption of the 2003 Master Development Plan for Lake Caroline.
Mr. Harding, you have a copy of that?
I'll get him one. I've got him
And
one.
what was he referring to that was done at a later date?
He has our current ordinance in front of him, and what he's saying is that with the adoption of each new ordinance, it repeals the prior one, which is correct. I'm not saying that it doesn't. What I'm saying is that P1 PUD that I handed out is what was in effect. There's no doubt that it's been repealed, but that sort of gives some sort of a guideline as to what, it gives you an idea of what was in effect at the time the Master Development Plan was adopted. But here we sit today, and we never had anything that specifically replaced the P1 PUD designation. That was a standalone zoning district back then.
All right, we'll get him a copy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any others, anyone else would like to speak? If not, we're gonna move on down the list, and if y'all will, please stay for the rest of the board meeting. We'd love for y'all to be even better informed. So, all right, Mr. Thad?
Mr. President, if I may, can we take up Judge O'Neill's?
Oh,
least
yes.
She snuck in the back and is trying to get back
I'm
to a
sorry,
full
hold
courtroom.
on.
Sorry.
Hold on that
Steve.
Judge, come on up and,
Room full of people wins.
I got
we'll move back. Good morning.
Thank you. I've got a courtroom of foster children waiting for me, but
You do.
Mr. Higginbotham thought I needed to come on over. I have an item on the agenda to approve a lease. Our youth services, the place we were meeting, the lease ran out. They are remodeling the building and gave us ample notice to find a new place, so that's what we've done.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Baxter. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Okay, we're going to move on down to, I think now to Ms. Espy. I'm sorry. Come on up here, Steve. Y'all been up here 3 times.
Okay. We're just gonna move y'all to the end.
It's all right.
Y'all been up here 3 times and hadn't finished yet. I'm sorry, Mike. Hold tight. We're going to back up. Dad?
All right, thank you. We'll be rather brief. At your first meeting in November, you authorized Mr. Pittman and me to move forward to solicit bids for interest rates on the county's newest short-term borrowing of $5,100,000. The bids were due today at 10 o'clock and have been delivered to the clerk, and I see that Mr. Pittman is already wrangling away at the envelopes here to open and describe the interest rates.
by the way.
That's right. All right, go ahead.
And so we have three bids. The first is from Community Bank, and the rate of 5.68. 5.68.
Read it for me.
The next is from Trustmark. It is 5%. 5%. And the last
That's what we like.
is from Cadence Bank, 7.53. So the low bid is Trustmark at 5%, and that would be my recommendation.
Do we have a motion?
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? I'll second it for Trustmark at 5%. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All righty.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Okay, next item, Mr. Espy, you are up.
Thank you very much. So this item is not, excuse me, not on the agenda because it just came to my attention, but I think it bears being in the minutes. This is another historic issue that we have to resolve. So on November 14th, recently, we received a letter from CMU, the director of CMU. And it's basically a demand letter which says that the Board of Supervisors owes to CMU the sum of $95,117.93 based on the failure of the county to remit payments of $5,000 a year on a lease agreement that's dated July 26, 2001.
2001.
2001. So I just received a letter from the administrator. I really haven't had time to look into it, except that I did receive the lease. So basically, back in 20 years ago, the county donated the land for Beatty's Bluff. So it donated the land at Beatty's Bluff. But inside of the lease agreement, the CMU was supposed to pay to Madison County $5,000 a year. And so far, based on some research by our administrator, we did receive from CMU the $5,000. I don't know if you looked at all the 20 years.
I did not pull all 20 years. I started at the first year in the letter, and I did not go further yet.
All right. So we know we have a history of Madison was the lessor, CMU was the lessee. The lessee was supposed to pay to the lessor $5,000 a year from 2001. All right. So at least we know, based on rudimentary research, that they begin to pay us. Now, why do we owe money when we're the lessor? Cursory reading of the lease agreement says that the board back at that time, when Beatty's Bluff was being built, I guess there was some sort of payment for utility easement and also our pro rata share of building Beatty's Bluff. That's what I'm getting from reading the lease. And so CMU paid the $5,000 a year to the Board of Supervisors, and we were supposed to remit that same amount of money to MACWA, which evidently we have not done. So again, based on cursory research, we see money coming in from CMU, but we don't see any money going out to MACWA. So at this time, we're still researching this. I just got it. It just got my attention. But I do at least, I believe we need to acknowledge the demand letter from CMU of November 14th, 2023, explain to us why they want us to give back to them, remit back to them the $95,117.93.
When did the lease end?
The lease was, so the schedule, all I know is the schedule. The lease was for 20 years, but there was another lease assignment to Macwa, which contained the same $5,000. So we were supposed to remit to Macwa the $5,000 that we got from the lessee, CMU. So it appears from their letter that perhaps we didn't do that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But it also raises the other question of, this is beyond 3 years. So based upon the Canton situation, I did go ahead and send a letter that I hand-delivered to the Attorney General, asking the question, are we limited to the 3-year statute of limitations on claims made beyond 3 years? So I did ask that question. They have it there. It's probably going to take some time. But in the CMU letter to us, it does state that this is waived, and Mr. Banks, you'll be happy to hear this. They state to me that that statute of limitations is waived by Section 104 of the Mississippi State Constitution.
So we can give Canton their money, is what you're saying?
If this is true. So I amended the letter to the Attorney General, and I put this question in there.
Good.
I did. So it's a squarely put before the Mississippi Attorney General, which if they're right, we can pay Canton the rest of what we owe. And if they're wrong, then, or if they say we can't, then that also relates to this.
All right, of course, there's several questions that have to be answered.
Yes.
As you look into it, but what I just heard you say was, this happened in 2001, that CMU has given the county $5,000 per year. $5,000 per year.
I believe that to be the case. I have not proven beyond the very first year mentioned in the letter, but I do believe that.
Did we receive $5,000 from them this past year?
Not that I recall, but again, we haven't done all the requisite research yet.
So
But it's supposed to pass
the lease is July 26, 2001, but the demand payments from this letter says you owe us $5,000 a year from 2006 to 2020. That's what it says. And that amounts to that $95,000 figure. Then they're asking for 4% interest on top of that. So that's what they're asking for. So I just received this. I'd ask that you acknowledge the letter. And Greg, if you can give Chance Clerk a fresh copy.
Hey, do I have a motion? Got a motion,
I
Supervisor
second the
Banks? Got a
motion.
second by...
My other question,
Hold on one second.
I'd like to have one question.
All right, got a motion from Supervisor Jones, second from Supervisor Banks.
Yeah.
Got a question now, Supervisor Banks.
If we were supposed to give the money to Macwa, why isn't Macwa suing?
That's
right.
It's a good question.
Canton won't, I mean, they don't have.
CMU.
I mean, CMU don't have anything to do with the money. It's Macwa's money.
It's a good question. That's why I'm asking you to let me look into it.
Yes.
Yeah, there are probably a handful of questions there legally.
Yes.
That we need to know or information, so. All right, we have a motion on the table. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Mike, and we still going into executive session for a short period of time. I think the sheriff has asked for it, so. All right, let's move on down. Greg?
All right. I'm going to be extraordinarily brief this morning. Good morning, Board. Item 43 is a request to authorize the Board President to sign CDBG letters. These are letters to the local Native American tribes that may be impacted by the proposed project in the West Madison Utility District.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. I'll second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Great. Item 44 is an authorization to advertise an RFQ for courtroom design services. This one is a little different, and it is simply because I don't want to buy cheap stuff for Fred's. If we do it as an RFQ, we get to look at the qualifications of the folks that are proposing to come in and put, it's mainly courtroom tech, so the folks that are going to come in and put this tech can tell us what we need rather than taking the cheapest, lowest bid. It's still not going to spend an absurd amount of money. It's just, it keeps us from having to redo the courtroom in 2 years when the tech's obsolete.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Jones, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Great. Item 45 is a pay application for the aforementioned Freds. It just came in late on Friday and didn't have a chance to get it on the claims docket, but they have done a tremendous amount of work over there. There was a crane there Friday, yanking air conditioning units off the top of the building. First time a crane's been on this side of Canton in quite a while, from what I understand of it. So they are making progress. We should probably pay them.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Jones, even though at this point that's still not our building.
Technically, no, but we are the holders of the money as part of the lease back.
I just want to make sure legally we're okay, even though we are not the owner of the building.
Correct. We are perfectly fine. Butler Snow okayed the transaction. I think Mike was in on it. That I don't have any qualms about this one.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Greg, before you sit down, if there's no legal ramifications, can you take SB's documents with the CMU problem and put them on the agenda, public agenda?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Shouldn't be an issue at all.
Okay, and the son.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Item number 46 is the approval for the budget amendments and the interfund cash transfers.
Make a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, I think, by Supervisor Baxter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
The next four items, 47 through 50, is the general claims docket, 2 payroll dockets, and then the wedding reports from Justice Court.
Move.
Got a motion from Supervisor Banks, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Baxter, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Supervisor Baxter, would you take item 51, please?
Okay. And the last item, number 51, is the approval of the Fleet Corps claim docket.
Move.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lott?
Sheriff's our standard, let him go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Lott.
Go ahead. Oh, you go ahead. Oh, you go ahead.
Go for it.
I'm just getting ready.
Christmas time, hey.
Just to acknowledge that I have the inmate meal log for the month of November to leave for your clerk.
Okay.
And acknowledge billing to MDOC in the amount of $7,645.20.
Move.
Do I have a motion to acknowledge both of those documents? Got a
Yes.
motion, Supervisor Banks, second by
Second.
Supervisor Baxter, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lott.
If you allow me to stay seated, I can bring my glasses, so I need to keep it close to me. You have before you the order providing for the payment and excuse me, my microphone was not on. Let me start all over. All right, you have before you the order providing for the payment and distribution of payment in lieu of taxes to be received from Nissan North America Incorporated and for related purposes. Whereas on November the 8th, 2000, Madison County, together with the state of Mississippi, the city of Canton, and numerous other governmental bodies entered into a certain MOU with Nissan North America Incorporated. Whereas Madison County entered into an agreement to make payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes dated April 23rd, 2003. That the tax assessor of Madison County has prepared and submitted to the Madison County Board of Supervisors a calculation of the amount owed by Nissan North America as his payment in lieu of taxes for 2023, which calculations are attached. The payment due based upon Nissan North America Incorporated's real property value, $322,021.22. Payment due based upon Nissan North America's personal property values, $1,739,890.45. The total amount due for 2023 is $2,061,911.67. That the board adopts the calculation and that the Chancery Clerk should provide invoices reflecting the above amounts and submit the same into Nissan North America Incorporated. That therefore, upon receipt of the entirety of said funds from Nissan North America Incorporated for 2023, the county treasurer, which is me, shall pay into the Canton Public School District the sum of $1,177,172.44, and shall pay into the Central Madison Fire Protection District the sum of $177,93, and shall pay into the Madison County to be directed to the appropriate bond fund the sum of $858,561.30. I ask the board make said motion.
Move.
Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Banks, got a second by Mr. Baxter. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? You said a lot there, Mr. Lott.
I condensed it.
Which was good,
I
though.
condensed it.
We appreciate it. Okay, next is old business, new business. Do I have a motion to go into closed termination?
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, second Supervisor Baxter. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Litigation.
For what?
Litigation. Got a motion by Supervisor Baxter, I'll second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are now in executive session, and I don't think it's gonna take long, so unless somebody just needs a 5-minute